Okay, what we've just seen is something quite unprecedented. The finance minister stopping to take a break. We are here at the blockbuster roundtable, and what I want to do now is use this opportunity. So, Sandeep, first and foremost, this is quite unprecedented. A break, what's this? A health concern? Diabetes?
Mr. Jaitley has health complications, and I think he may have taken this break for an insulin shot because he's also diabetic. Plus, we know that he had major surgery a few years ago. But truly, this is unprecedented. Budget is always...
There is nothing much to read about it.
Sure.
If there is a minor health issue with somebody, we cannot make a song and dance about it. It can happen to anyone. You know, but what is presented, that is meat.
Okay, so what I have is, we've got these things, everyone has, you've got a thumbs up on the one side, a thumbs down on the other, and you've also got the numbers. So can I get our experts to just, we were planning to do this after the budget, but since we have some time, explain, starting, who do I start with? Dr. Lahiri, your sense of the budget so far, are you giving it a thumbs up, thumbs down, and how many marks are you giving it?
We have the right to revise our grading later?
Of course, absolutely. Okay. Thumbs up, big thumbs up. Dr. Lahiri is quite a Jaitley fan, I'm seeing. Why is it? Why is it such a big thumbs up? How many marks are you giving so far and why? How many marks and why?
Some other thumb.
He's pulling out his numbers. He wants to get this just right. Doesn't want to get his numbers wrong at all under any circumstances. Yes, 8. Why is that, sir?
See, first thing, as I told you, I wanted a clear statement from the minister that there is no reform by stealth. No, he is mentioning some 100 crore here, 100 crore there. He's mentioning states here and there. But what is the big story that I take away from this?
Yes.
First, he has mentioned that he's going to stick to the 4.1% fiscal deficit target that his predecessor, Mr. Chidambaram, left in the interim budget. That's a big statement because there were apprehensions that the new government will say, no, this is not realistic. He's saying we'll live by that. Then I find FDI announcements, a great emphasis on health, education, urban renewal. Now, these are very important things. These are the basis for sustained growth. And this is what I'm finding from the budget, that it's not gas cylinders, another 2 gas cylinders, or, you know, the price of gas will be reduced. He is moving on the big ticket items. But I say 8 because, as a technocrat, sky is the limit for my expectation.
Sure. Nitin Desai. Thumbs down. Down. That's just what as different gets. Why is that? How many marks are you giving him?
The reason is that I don't see any game changer initiatives so far. I'm a little worried that he's announced lots of expenditure programs, new expenditure programs, 4,000 crores for this, 7,000 crores for that, without saying a word.
But you haven't heard Part B yet.
That's right. So let me wait. I may change my view after Part B.
How many marks are you giving him so far?
So far I'm giving him 5 marks.
Just 5. So 8 from
it's exactly
Lahiri,
exactly the budget I would have expected had it been presented by Lalu Yadav.
By Lalu Yadav? That's nasty. That is downright nasty.
So far, nothing exciting. No game-changer move. The only area where I feel there is some game-changing is a string of proposals on urbanization. But apart from that, no game-changer.
Dr. Vermani.
Well, if you remember, before the budget...
So first you need to put one of these 2 up.
Okay, one of the 2 up. Okay.
So a thumbs up.
Yeah. Well, I can give you a number also if you want.
7.
Okay.
Because you got an 8, we got a 5, you got a 7. Explain your 7.
Okay, so as far as the fiscal deficit, that is a little bit of a surprise, but we'll have to see the tax numbers, right? Expenditures we can take, but the tax numbers, whether they are realistic, and I expect them to be realistic because of the growth numbers in the economic survey, which are very realistic. That's
okay,
one.
I think Mr. Jaitley is back.
Okay, so we'll come back.
We'll come back and we'll get back to this. Union budget. You're watching our live and continuing coverage from the blockbuster CII Business Roundtable. I want to introduce our guests who will help crack what they make of this budget. Let me begin by introducing Shekhar Gupta, Editor-in-Chief, India Today Group. We've got Rakesh Bharti Mittal, Vice Chairman, Bharti Enterprises, Rajesh Shah, Past President CII, Sandeep Bamzai, Editor, Mail Today, Dr. Ashok Lahiri, former Chief Economic Advisor, Dr. Arvind Virwani. We've got Harinder Sikka, and we've also got Neeru Ahuja. She's an income tax partner at Deloitte. With me also, renowned economist Nitin Desai. What we'll do is, we've got these placards up for all our guests. Initial comments just from everyone, where you pick one number. You can pick 10, going down to 0, on how you rate Jaitley and why. Let's start with Dr. Lahiri. 7. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. Okay. Rajesh Shah. 7. Thumbs up. Very good. Sandeep Bamzai. Thumbs up. 8. Sandeep kinder than Rajesh and Dr. Lahiri. Arvind Vamani.
Well, I'm staying with my earlier
7.
number.
7 seems to be the initial number that everyone's got up. Harinder Sikka. Thumbs up.
I'm revising it from 8 to 9.
To 9. Healthcare was a big focus sector. That's why Harinder Sikka is excited. From a tax perspective, Neeru Ahuja.
So it's thumbs up.
Thumbs up. And how many marks are you giving?
Okay, only from a tax perspective.
No, first just rank the budget overall. Okay, 7. 7 seems to be the consensus so far. Nitin Desai gave a 5 in the first round when Arun Jaitley took a break. 6 is what you're saying, and the thumbs up. So, okay, we don't have that option. Next time we'll tell our producers to come up with one neutral option as well. Okay, broad takeaways and how to view the budget, starting with Shekhar.
Look, Rahul, the first thing the budget tells you is how much unanimity there is between the BJP and the Congress party on broad economic policy. So it tells you, I'm sorry to knock our own proposition, that no Modinomics can today override Indianomics. Because the direction of Indian economy, broad direction has been set. And it's very difficult for anybody to change it substantially. We thought this, or substantively, we thought this time Mr. Modi may do it, but even he hasn't done it. Also, given the way the direction of India's economy has been set by both BJP and Congress party, it is very difficult now, very challenging to give really big positive surprises in the budget. Because tax rates are set, right? The basic approaches to many things are set. Everybody wants to keep the fisc in control to the extent possible. Nobody wants to cut subsidies. So you cannot give big positive surprises in the budget. You can give big negative surprises.
Which they haven't done.
As Mr. Pranab Mukherjee proved to us.
This time they haven't done.
They haven't done. In fact, most budgets haven't done. So to that extent, I would say it's a workman-like budget, and also sort of answers the reformist basic prayer of demystifying the budget process
and consistency
and taking away excitement and sex appeal.
So you're saying it's a workman-like budget, and you're saying it could just have been a Congress finance minister.
Well, a budget has to be statement of accounts, and then different ministries and ministers, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet and the various institutions, then have to come out with policy and implement that policy through the year.
Sergeant Bhartiman.
Well, Rahul, I will say I think the Finance Minister has done a very good job.
You think very good job, you think?
Yes. Clearly a very positive direction and a roadmap for not only the current year, even the next 2 years on the fiscal deficit. I think it is something which is going to be challenging, but to my mind, the intent and the effort has been very, very positive. More importantly, I think two big things which I picked up. Setting up an expenditure management commission to report within the year, I think is something which is a pressure on himself and on all the ministries and the government. And more importantly, from the industry viewpoint, a stable and positive tax regime, predictive tax regime. Because these are the things which take a lot of energy and lot of time from everyone, on whether it's a transfer price ruling or whether it's an advance pricing ruling. I think if all these mechanisms are set in the right perspective, I believe it will help the industry a lot.
Rajesh.
It's definitely not a Congress type of budget. But what the Finance Minister has done this morning in his very long speech is, without recrimination, without going in and dwelling in on the past, but saying as a matter of fact, these are the issues, leaving it and showing something positive for the future. So there is a big picture, and then there are multiple smaller steps. And they know they have to continue with smaller steps every single day as a government. So I think that he has set the right tone. He said that it's fiscal prudence, fiscal consolidation. He's talked about investment, talked about simplifying matters without being very specific now, which shows that he wants to be open to all kinds of suggestions as the process goes on.
Sandeep Bamzai.
Well, he's not been accusatory for starters, which is what one thought he would be. given that he was crimped as far as spending is concerned. We know that the subsidy burden it's a complete
But he
blowout.
hasn't tried to cut down
No,
expenditure
no, very strangely he's not done that. He's actually given something to everybody. But directionally, I think he has set the tone and tenor of what he needs to do. Look at FDI, look at transfer pricing, look at retrospective taxation, look at road development, highway development, Kashmiri Pandits. No Congress government ever did anything about Kashmiri Pandits and their rehab. He's actually given sums of money. He's actually given sums of money to different things out of a pocket which does not have too much.
You're watching a continuing coverage from the Blockbuster Budget Roundtable. I want to go across to Neeru Ahuja, income tax partner at Deloitte, to give us your take on the increase in all the exemption limits. So for salaried people, he seems to have done enough, but is it good enough? Or is it just very insignificant?
So I would say it's not as significant as what people wanted or expected. So the limits have been increased by mere 50,000. And when you calculate the taxes on it, even at a 10% slab, it's just 5,000 bucks in a year. Similarly, ATC has been increased by only 50,000, and translated into a tax saving, it's another 5,000 bucks. So while there have been tax savings announced, perhaps they are not as significant as what people would have wanted or expected.
Okay, we've also got Rajiv Memani, CEO and Country Managing Partner, Ernst & Young India. Sir, what's your big takeaway from the budget?
So, from a tax standpoint?
Yes, first from a tax standpoint, also for the benefit of those who are salaried people watching this broadcast.
Yeah, from a salaried people's standpoint, I don't think there is that much to cheer from a tax standpoint. I think expectations were generally larger. But I think on the tax standpoint, at least the biggest emphasis that I see is very focused on reducing litigation and going for settlement and creating the settlement framework.
But they haven't cancelled retrospective taxation, for example.
Yeah, they have not cancelled retrospective. I'll come to that. So on the settlement side, I think they've taken some very meaningful measures. They're talking of strengthening the APA, Advanced Ruling Authorities. They're talking of creating greater settlement platforms. They're introducing residents. It was earlier meant only largely for non-residents. And a very important thing that he has done is to create a committee where if there are lingering tax issues, so hypothetically if there are 25 big tax issues, there's a tax committee that will be set up and they will give their views within 2 months of your approaching them. So on similar matters, you will just not have prolonging litigation all the time. So that is there. Coming to your question on
which industry wanted to see go? They wanted to see the back of retrospective taxation. Instead you formed a committee which will look at past cases. Why not just scrap it? Do you think that's a negative?
I think the expectations were very high on that one, but I think realistically what he has tried to do is to form a committee to enable a settlement rather than saying completely taking that off. I'm sure they would have put all these things on the table and there may have been some issues because of which they wouldn't have done it, but that would come as a bit of a disappointment because I think that was really the big news that people were anticipating.
Look, I mean, once you've claimed 20,000 crores or thereabouts on Mother India's, Bharat Mata's behalf, it's impossible for any government to come and write it off.
That's right.
Also, the taxman now says, I have the power of a new law passed by the previous government. Can you come and write off 15, 18, 20,000 crores to an MNC, right? When you have such a deficit budget, it's politically and even morally impossible. Morally, there is a point, much as I find retrospective taxation reprehensible, India is not a tax haven. You cannot have a transaction someplace between 1 and 2, an asset which sits in India exchanges hands and nobody pays tax to anybody.
Okay.
So there was a lacuna in tax law. It's very difficult now to say, let's restore status quo.
But Shekhar, that was the issue was it was being done retrospective. That was the worry.
I don't think the point is it's under negotiation. I think this opens the door for a settlement, maybe waiving of interest penalty, and a mutually honorable way can be found.
I think there are legalities around it. So I think it's difficult, but going forward, he said it will not be done. So I think at least there will be.
No, he didn't say it will be done on rarest.
His point is no country can say I will not have retrospective. Because today I have a judgment of a court which suddenly opens up 50 years of assessments. So it is impossible to write a law saying never.
Well,
what he said is I will do this judiciously.
Shahbano legislation was a retrospective legislation for reasons of politics, for reasons of society, for reasons of economics. You must have the power of retrospective.